Let's get going, everybody. My name is Stuart Cohen. This is the Ask Stuart Hour. Welcome, boot campers, and welcome to invited guests. Whenever I do a special show where I invite a special guest, I make it open to the entire universe. So we have 14,900 agents on, and that's not true. I wish we did, but we don't. Tommy, welcome to the Ask Stuart Hour. So the first thing I'd like you to share with us, please, is so everybody who doesn't know you gets to know you. Give us your 30-second elevator speech. Who are you, and what do you do?
Well, hi, everybody. I'm very delighted, and thank you, Stuart, for this invitation. I'm delighted to be part of this boot camp and give you some of my expertise and my knowledge of what I know. I'm still learning, as I always say. Never know everything, so I always learn from my travel agents and from my tour operators and my competitors. But to give you some background, I'm Tommy. I head up the groups division for TravelBand. I'm based here in New York. You can see Madison Square Garden right behind me, so that's where our office is. So I'm originally hailed from Ireland, so excuse the accent. Some people like it, some people don't understand it. Just tell me to slow down if I do.
I like it. It's okay.
I've been with TravelBand for over 20 years, so I've been through a lot of FIT divisions, sales divisions, and I head up the groups division.
Okay, excellent. Now, just so everybody knows why Tommy ended up here, I was out on the speaking circuit doing a speech, and one of your awesome teammates, Debbie, I think it was Debbie, came up and said, Stuart,
Debbie Donovan.
Wow. She said, I love what you're doing with groups, and she said, you got to talk to Tommy because we love groups too. Right? So Tommy, let's just start off, then we're going to get to the questions here. But let me ask you this question. TravelBand in groups. Tell me, what do travel professionals who currently work with you, and again, this is not a sales pitch. What I want to know is what are the tools, the programs that TravelBand provides to travel professionals that do groups that enables these travel professionals to do more, do better, make more money, get more groups, be more successful, and give the people a better time. Can you give us just a framework so we know what we're talking about?
Sure. Well, I mean, I know groups is not easy. I'm not going to say, yes, everyone do groups, let's do groups. It's not easy, but the return on the investment is tremendous from a financial side of it and then also from a client-based side of it. With travel agents, I'm a very big encourager for agents to do groups. I know they're very busy with a lot of FIT bookings, but groups is, my big statement is, it's where the money is for travel. Mm-hmm. You can really look at where you're not hitting targets for certain months. You know, you can run a program to 6-night program or a 3-night program to London, Paris, do a city program, or you can do an extensive tour. You control that. It becomes your product. It becomes your brand. Whether you're a little travel agency trying to set up, or you're a big travel agent with a lot of business, and that you can really become your own brand in terms of how we support travel agents with groups. What we try to do is, we like to say, we do the work, you do the selling. We are basically a full center here where we do all the pricing. We work with you on the pricing, what you want to sell, and what price you want to sell. We also work on the product. I mean, what product you want to include. Do you want to include a bare bones itinerary with add-ons? We can make it more interesting. And the key, in the last few years, I'm seeing, a lot of agents, there's a lot of programs out there that are groups, escorted tours that they can put people onto. But we try and make it your own. I mean, try and add a unique feature. Make it really interesting that you're going to be recognized as a really expert on the destination and on group travel.
Yes. So in boot camp, as my boot campers know, one of the big methods that's critical to success is the package, power in the package, packaging power. So basically, the tools you provide enable them to package. Now, I know that you do pre and post cruise as well. I believe we've got a lot of cruise booking agents. They do a lot of groups on cruises. So you do that. So in addition to the custom tours, okay, for groups, you can also do custom pre-post and excursions as well?
Yeah, actually we just have a tool now to make it easier for agents, and we just launched it 2 weeks ago. Actually, Debbie, who you mentioned earlier, is very involved in it. She's our expert on cruising, and we created a tool for travel agents only. It's on our website. which is it's a wave. It's part of the wave promotion at the moment. I understand a lot of agents now have booked their cruise cabins, so now is the time to try and upsell that cruise booking, particularly for groups. So now what we've come up with a tool with all the ports that around the globe that give you some ideas whether you want an extended tour, a shore excursion, and give you some ideas of with pricing and everything that you can take it as is. We can customize it. We can so that you can upsell. It gives you that tool to upsell that cruise cabin booking. I understand a lot of cruise lines commissions are a challenge. You know, it's a challenge in terms of trying to increase, you know, your selling price. This is a great tool where it allows agents to sell product, allows them to be expert on that cruise program, and include some really unique itineraries, whether it's a pre and post itinerary or an extended itinerary, or just shore excursions that become exclusively just for your group, your cruise group.
Okay, this is excellent. Now, first I want to, folks, if you guys want to put your microphone on, we've had some bold, courageous people the last couple of weeks, the last couple of shows who put their mics on, but what you need to do is type it into the question box saying, Stuart, turn my mic on. And before I do that, I will tell you so I don't catch you perhaps sneezing or, I don't know, talking to your cat or dog. So I've got to do that. And Jalal, this is for Jalal, my friend Jalal, who's an awesome member of Boot Camp. You typed in a whole series of, you spread out your question. Perhaps, Jalal, you want to turn your mic on and make it easier. Come in, ask your question. Tommy's in the house, and he can answer. So while everyone is thinking of questions, Jalal, you let me know if you want your mic on and other stuff. Tommy, somebody just posted in Boot Camp literally an hour ago. Diane, she's brand new at Boot Camp, and she's talking about packaging. She said, well, Stuart, how do we handle the pricing? How do we handle the charges to the clients if we have the cruise line to pay, and then we have somebody like a Travel Bound or other amenities and items? Tommy, would you give us some best practices that you see travel professionals do when they're dealing with different vendors? Give us solutions.
Yeah, well, I think one of the we've identified in the past where it's been quite challenging in terms of, you know, particularly we give net pricing. You know, as a travel agent, I have to mark it up to sell it, and then my client wants to pay by, you know, and I've got a group of 20 and they want to pay by individual credit cards for their portion, you know, and particularly a lot of tour operators now are giving that tool where they will take each individual credit card, they'll give you a tool where you can process it in a compliance system as well that will process the payment, where you can put in the client's credit card at your selling price, and then particularly with us where we do net pricing, we will actually send you back the overpayment or the base of your profit. We'll send it back to you as well. And it's important. I mean, a lot of tour operators are offering this based transport travel agents in terms of how they deal with consumers, how they deal with, you know, giving tools in terms of how to collect the payments and make the payments for a particular group. There are other, you know, there are other tour operators that will take checks as well, individual checks. We try and, you know, promote credit cards. It's probably the easiest way to control a group payment, and you don't have to be waiting and checking and balancing on check payments. The tool also that we provide gives you a whole summary of every payment that you've given. If there's a refund given back on a credit card, we can process that too, and it gives you a whole summary. And we launched this about a year ago. Particularly, we saw a compliance issue in terms of credit cards being faxed in, taken over the phone, which a lot of people are very hesitant in doing now, which is really important to look at a tour operator, you know, that really have a compliance system, that your credit card system is not just going to go disappear into an online world of Amazon or anywhere else, or in a foreign country. It's really important that you sell that to your client, that your client's credit card is secure.
Okay, so that's great. So one of the great things I'm hearing, because one of the big concerns, travel professionals, like, do I need to get a merchant account? How do I do that? And let me tell you, it's very expensive, everybody knows, to do that. So you have a solution for that, and I see there's a variety of methods. Now, do you have a team? Let's say we have people on right now who are working on groups, and they're like, boy, because they get it, because we know when you do a group, the answer is not to sell, to offer a bare bones, stripped down off the shelf product. Because why? They're going to shop till you drop, and they're going to prefer, you know, they're going to compare you. And what are you doing? Why do they need you? Why do they need a travel professional anyway? The whole idea is a travel professional, and this is where where this is your purpose, your company's purpose, is to make it bigger, better, more amazing, so the experience is awesome, because the people come back. If they miss the sites, if they realize when they get there it's too late to add on, too late to queue up and buy it, if it's too expensive, they come back, they're mad at the agent. So you're the solution to that. Do you have a team of people that agents can call to say, I have this, what do you think, and do they help in the design and the creation of this kind of stuff?
Yes, and we're like pretty much like a lot of tour operators that do custom groups. We'll have a team of experts in particular destinations and particular type of segments, whether it's a religious program, a cruise group, or an affinity type of group, that they have an expert on that field. I think, I mean, you highlighted a very important point for travel agents. I think it's key. I mean, we have a lot of online world, a lot of competitors that the consumer can go directly to. I think, we're travel agent only, so we support the travel agent, and I think it's important for the travel agent to, to show the value that they're adding on their tour. Yes, my tour might be more expensive, but I'm giving you X, Y, and Z. That's not on your itinerary. You're getting bare bones, and really, and it's important to put in a unique experience that this is what you're getting from me. And that's really what I think even the consumer is really looking at as well, what value for money they're getting.
That's right. It's a total value proposition. TVP. Okay, we've got two people ready to put their mics on. We're going to go to you, Jalal, in just a second. And then Sam, I see you got your mic on as well. But Jalal, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put your mic on right now so you can ask Tommy your question. Jalal?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you doing?
Great. Tommy, meet Jalal. Jalal, meet Tommy.
Hi, Jalal.
Hi, Tommy. How are you doing?
I'm very good.
What's your question?
Tommy, my question is basically I have a kind of an ad hoc group which has just come about. They plan to go to Dubai for some games.
Okay.
But there's no tour leader as such. There's some interest in it for people to go and attend the games, and also some participants to go. Now, I don't mind going and blocking space and putting a deposit with a time limit. Do you think it's a good idea for July or no?
July in Dubai obviously is very, very hot. I mean, obviously they're going to a game, so it's obviously they can't go at any other time. So yes, we do a lot of groups in the summertime. We do a lot of stopover groups, particularly in Dubai, where they're connecting with Emirates or one of the UAE airlines connecting to Asia or China. I mean, there's quite a lot of that, and it's getting very, very popular. You mentioned that you don't have a tour leader. I mean, one thing as well is you don't have to go with your group. We can provide what we call a tour manager, which is a professional local expert, speaks English, and basically becomes your leader of the group and basically controls the whole group. Can really take care of the group from the check-in right to when they check back on the plane as well. So it gives that additional security. It also, you don't have, I mean, a lot of time when travel agents go on these groups, they do a lot of work. It's not easy. You're at their call of every single client. So whereas you have a tour manager who really has, I mean, not saying the travel agents shouldn't go, they can also go and enjoy the experience and maybe do more upselling rather than dealing with the day-to-day issues. But the tour manager will take care of everything from beginning to end, and it's a great tool, particularly for US groups. They really like that. The travel agent likes to go and maybe possibly sell some FIT bookings and upsell to future bookings. They find out, really talking to their passengers and their clients as a salesperson, and come back with more business as well, so whether it's an FIT or a future group booking. But
so I would in that case,
help?
Yeah, definitely. So travel bond will definitely be able to block some space for me if I do request some space with the time limit and all the stuff. That
yes,
can be done, correct?
we do have our own office in Dubai as well, so they can support us. If it's tickets for games as well, we can all support that. I mean, if you're looking for tickets as well for particular games, or again, going back to the unique feature, if it's a private meal or a dinner or an entrance, we can also arrange that as well.
Very cool.
Lovely. Definitely, I'll get back to you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Hey, Jalal, thank you. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to mute your mic now. Thank you so much for being bold. Putting it on.
Thanks. No.
Yep. So Tommy and Sam, you're up next. But Tommy, so what I'm hearing for everybody, the big takeaway here is that what got me like bells went off is like, because I always tell travel professionals if they've got a group, okay, and it's not necessarily based on how many people in the group, but if there's any degree of complexity, if they've got special events taking place, whether it's on a ship or on land, that needs to be escorted, it needs to be led, because why? You can do the best job sitting behind your desk, but when they get there, things will go wrong. And the fact that another option is to use a company like yours or to use a local guide, because you may not be a Dubai expert. You may not know what's around the corner. You may not speak the language. To use a local private guide and build that into the package, wow.
Yes.
It just takes so much stress off. So I thanks for helping out, Jalal, wow, look at this. We've got Jen on. Jacob's here. Hey, Jacob. We have got Goretti. We've got Jen, Josephine. They just keep on coming in. This is awesome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Srini's in the house. Welcome, new boot camp member. Okay, so Sam, hang on here. I'm going to put Sam's. Sam, you ready? I'm going to unmute your microphone right now. Hey, Sam.
Good morning, Stuart. Good morning, Tommy.
Hey, Sam. How you doing?
I'm just fine. I just wanted to say I've done 4 groups with Travel Bound.
Good for you.
And, I've actually done groups as far as 20 years ago with Travel Bound, but more recently 4 groups in the last 10 years with Travel Bound. And I have people from 20 years ago still talking about our trip that we did through
Wonderful.
Travel Bound. You had great people along the way. We had a bus driver and a guide, and they couldn't have been nicer or more fun, actually, to have along on the trip. They added to our trip. They didn't detract from it or take our mind off anything, and they were very spontaneous and went with what the group wanted, even though our itinerary changed along the way a little bit. They just went with the flow. You know, they couldn't have been nicer.
That's great, Sam.
But speaking to how easy it is for payments that someone brought up, the last group I did, we did a cruise group from Athens to Venice, and then Travel Bound did for us 3 nights Venice, 3 nights Florence, and 3 nights Rome. Now, not everybody wanted to do that. So out of the group that went on the cruise, there were 14 of us that did the land tour. And then out of the 14, 8 of us continued on to London for 3 nights before flying home. And I did not go through the group department to do this because it started out with just a few of us. So I was booking individual rooms. And then some of those rooms had single people who had 2 different credit cards. But I was able to enter payments for 2 different people on one booking quite easily online. I never had to make a call to Travel Bound when I put that whole package together. I would package it myself as it ended up. And I did it all online.
And Sam, you're talking about our FIT website, which is, groups is we do groups here from 10 passengers or more, particularly for Europe, is 10 passengers. In the US, Canada is 10 rooms. So it's more beneficial for an agent to do anything below 10 passengers through an FIT booking.
Exactly, or at 10 rooms.
Great feedback. I appreciate it. I'll share with our FIT.
So even for small groups like that where you don't go through the group department, you can still do it.
You can create your own program. And small groups is a big trend at the moment. I mean, we're seeing a lot of, extended families, generational, multi-generational, whether it's a graduation gift to the grandparents and they want to bring the whole family to, to London or Paris or to, they're not really doing very heavy touring as such, but they just want to do a city program and take their grandkids or their extended family around, and whether it's an anniversary gift or a graduation gift. And we're seeing a big trend on this at the moment, particularly from the travel agents. I think a lot of travel agents are promoting this as well, that they, they see that trend and they see that niche there as well, and they're not as complicated as the religious groups or the more affinity groups that require more details. They're pretty much transfers, hotel, and then a few sightseeing tours, and a lot of the time they want to spend with their family. Obviously, might do a farewell dinner or somewhere exclusive or somewhere nice. It's family friendly as well.
Yeah. What I'm hearing here is that a lot of travel professionals in the past, maybe you're familiar with FIT, and some agents really became phenomenal at that. It requires a lot of work, but travel. What I'm hearing is, if you need a solution, so you don't necessarily need to be the FIT expert, you call these guys. Okay, you call Tommy's team, and they'll do the work for you, as Sam just said too. So that's number one. And again, I don't want this to be a blatant promotion for Travel Bound, but I want it to be. It is, but it's not, because what I'm trying to position is that there are solutions for you guys. There are solutions, so that you don't have to be an expert in everything. You put people on your team in your pocket, like Sam has done in the past as her testimonial, who do the legwork for you, and you're done. Especially when they give you net rates. The second thing I want to say is that if you have a group, and you don't want to put all this money out to risk it, because you don't know if all 50 people are going to go on the tour. There's the individual option, the onesies and twosies option that Sam used, so that you're not tying up your money, you're not making a commitment you may not be able to keep. I would imagine it could be converted to the group if it's 10 plus after Tommy, but at least, folks, there's an option. If you've got onesies and twosies, the grandparents, let's say, who want to stay, do more, as Sam did, and do an additional optional, it can be done with little stress.
It's a cross-selling. I mean, definitely you should look at every cross-selling. I mean, when you have a group, not everyone wants to do the same thing at every time. They also, have personal preferences, and they will always want to do something or venture onto another city or country to just by themselves. So, always look at that as a cross-selling from a group. I mean, your group is obviously your main component, but you also can get additional business out of a group passenger as well.
That's right. It's wonderful. This is great stuff, right? And I know we like to say upsell, but we use those words between us, because a lot of times if we think upsell, and we could slip and we can say that to a consumer. Nobody wants to be sold up. It's an uphill battle. What you're doing is you're enhancing the experience. Remember, in boot camp we always talk about taking the experience from okay, which is this, to good, which is this, to better, to best. And if there's some people who don't want to, can't afford it, don't have the time, don't discount the fact that you could do that with individuals in the group. Sam, do you have anything else for Tommy? That was a great question, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you very much, Tommy.
Appreciate it.
Sam, you are a rock star, my friend Sam. Thank you so much for participating again. I'm going to unmute your. I'm going to mute your mic now. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. We've got a bunch of questions that just came in here. Let me just fire them off here. Cindy, welcome, Cindy, wants to know, actually, no, Srini, let's go back. Does Travel Bound have, do you guys do travel agent rates for Dubai? I'm just reading them as they come in.
They do have travel agent rates to our FIT division. You just call our FIT or your local salesperson, and they can give you the direction on the travel agent discounts that we offer. We do offer for worldwide. I mean, we offer for any product that's sold on the Travel Bound website.
Okay, very cool. There you go. Cindy just typed in. I'm reading it as I see it. Do you offer travel agent reduced rates? I have 2 groups planned for 2017 on a river cruise. Yay! I love river cruises. And I'm looking for pre and post services for them. I'm going on the ship in August, so I guess, Cindy, this is sort of like a site inspection, if you will, and you're going on the ship in August, and we'll be scouting for programs on my visit to Marseille and Paris. And I know this show is not all about travel agent rates, but she's doing a site inspection. I don't know if there's a way, I don't know what you want to say to that time.
Actually, that is a very good point to bring up. One thing we do encourage here, travel agents, will go with their groups as well. And sometimes they do take whatever the price per person that is given to them on the quote. One thing with a tour operator, you should always ask for the travel agent. I'm traveling on the tour as it's my group, you know, ask for the travel agent discount. We do offer it as well. We call it a tour leader discount. Basically what a travel agent will just pay, I mean, the group will obviously pay for the main components. The travel agent will be just really, it's really the fixed costs, more the hotel and the, you know, if there's any meal, basically a fixed cost, whereas the shared costs are paid through by your group participants. So do ask. Every tour operator, it does offer it, so that you don't pay the full price. And we'll also try and push for any discounts we can get with the group. You know, obviously hotels and suppliers love to see travel agents because they see this as, you know, they're selling their destinations, so it helps them sell, and we'll offer any additional, we can always request additional discounts as well for the travel agent who are traveling with their group.
That's great. Cindy, thank you for that question. And Cindy, I wish you the very best of success with your groups. Boy, oh boy, if you're not doing river cruises, that may not be your niche. I know that. It may not be, but wow, what an opportunity. The possibilities are amazing. That's a great question. And by the way, I just want to, we're at the halfway mark, and I just want to thank everybody who's here. This is the Ask Stuart Hour. We do this every other week for members of boot camp. But when we have a special guest in, Tommy Ryder, who's head of groups with Travel Bound, I want to open it up. Why? Because I want to share the love, share the knowledge. Come on in, ask questions, get to know Tommy, and because their company, Tommy provides solutions to help you be more successful. And that's why he's here, because he specializes in stuff that I'm not the expert in. Remember, we've had insurance guys on, we've had destination wedding people on, because I want to bring in experts to help you master the group travel business. This stuff is in boot camp. If you're not in boot camp, you need to be in boot camp if you really want the blueprint to mastering this incredibly rewarding business if you do it right. And we're going to help you do it right. Tommy, does your company do, there's a lot more questions coming in, but you do air as well?
No, we don't do air. We're a completely land-only operator, both for our groups. We don't actually do cruises as well, just no the river cruises. You know, a lot of people book their cruise, and then we do the land components to add on and enhance those bookings.
Okay, that was a question, because I know you had also said that you help. One of the things that's important for agents to know too is that off-peak targeting, off-peak times, off-peak tours. Your team, your people would know, because sometimes groups may have flexibility. You know, so if there's a window. Travel professionals where your group can go, before you make any decisions, call the suppliers, call a company like Tommy's and find out, because maybe if you go a week earlier because of weather, or who knows, maybe there's a big deal going on that week, a big celebration that makes prices higher, that there could be an opportunity to bring that price point down. But I don't mean sell it for less. I mean, because that could give you a bigger gap of margin where you can value add, you can add. It's not always about the cheapest price. Tommy started off today's session by saying it's about the value. And that's what they do. Okay, John typed in a great question. Now I'm going to read it here. Regarding the cost of the trip with the markup, is the markup cost shown to the client versus what the client would have paid? With most vendors, the markup is shown to the client, so they are aware that they're paying a service charge. If I understand properly, TravelBound does not show this service charge to the client when the invoice is generated. Is this correct, Tommy?
No, we don't actually, because we don't actually deal with the consumer at all. The consumer doesn't. The consumer will send you their credit card information. We give you a link that you put the consumer's information in. You tell us the amount to charge. We don't even question, what your markup is. You just tell us this is the amount I'm charging. You put it in the field of the amount to charge that card. We just send you the net invoice, so it'll all apply on that one invoice, and then obviously on the invoice it'll show that you overpaid, which we send that back to you. So we don't deal with anything. We never discuss anything with a direct client of what the actual net. Even when they're traveling at a hotel, they won't see the net pricing either. So what was packaged in as part of the hotel, because it's a group invoice, so they don't even get an individual checkout invoice. So no, it's. But not saying it can happen. And we've had odd situations in an odd city where the check-in person has given an invoice out. I mean, these are the very once-off chances that could happen. You know, but we do rectify it. We do deal with our suppliers and make sure that that doesn't happen. It's part of their contracts not to disclose any rates that the travel agent is getting.
Yeah, I think that's critical. John, great question, because the last thing in the world is you want to have to make all these excuses and have to answer to people saying, well, why am I paying $50 more? And that's when, that's when suddenly a net rate program doesn't work. But because you do offer the optional net rate program, and agents can finally get to earn what they deserve and mark it up to a level where they need and make a good living, because as far as I'm concerned, a commission that suppliers pay, and I'm talking the suppliers, the cruise lines, the tour companies, the commission is just a tip. It's a gratuity. It's like, here's a couple of bucks, even if you're at the top level. I don't know how, my friends, I don't know how you can really drive a high profit to your business if you just operate on commissions alone. That's the beauty of groups. That's the beauty of offering a package, of adding in solutions and products like we're talking about here with Tommy and TravelBound, where you can control your income. Yes. You can control your income, and that's critical. And the fact that TravelBound just said that it's their mission not to ever disclose that to the client, so that it's your business and nobody else's. Srini, thank you, John, for that. Srini wants to know if TravelBound is an affiliate of, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Warning, warning. It's in London. Kuoni.
Quoni. Yeah.
There you go.
Good question. Yes, TravelBound is actually owned by the Quoni Group. I don't know if people are familiar with the Cohen Group. Cohen Group is, established since 1904. It's a global company and owns quite a lot of brands. TravelBound is one of those brands, as well as some brands throughout Europe. We have a similar TravelBound brand in Europe called Travel Cube, which deals directly to travel agents as well. So, good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Rini. Okay, we've got a great question from Jean Ann. And here's Jean Ann's question, Tommy. Is TravelBound able to customize groups around specific dietary needs? For instance, a cooking class in Italy at a gluten-free restaurant rather than the typical cooking classes you would offer.
Yes, and that's part of the customization based on what you're trying to put together. We have dietary restrictions or requests. Even people just now there's a lot of people looking for more organic cooking, things like that. We also deal with a lot of religious groups where they have different dietary requirements. Whether it's that they can't eat certain foods at for certain times of the day, or even in certain restaurants as well. So we do cater for that. We work with you on that as well. There are restaurants, particularly in Italy, that are doing a lot more of this gluten-free as well. So just to give you an idea on that, there's other. Everything can really customize. We've done some options in France where we've done more wine blending with food. What wine goes with what food, and they do classes on this. So it's more of a particularly in the Bordeaux region where you can do these courses. We have others where they actually bottle the wine and they put their own label on it, and we can customize that label with your agency name. So there's a lot of ideas that are not very expensive. But these are the unique ideas that really a value add that really, you're going to have the coach, the guide, the hotel, the tourist attractions, but your wow factor is that one or two things that you can say, well, I've done you're getting this, or you can even do it as a surprise element during the tour as well. It's you can add in certain surprises that are not very obviously cost them in, but not put them on the day-by-day itinerary, and whether it's sort of the mystery visit that you're including as a gift as a travel agent to my group, and as a thank you for participating in the group. And those little things really make such a difference when they come back, and it will obviously bring you repeat business that you really went above and beyond in terms of providing that value that they didn't even recognize, but they will remember it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because in our preliminary discussion, you use the word loyalty a lot, and you see, because you're hands-on with this, you see that when you provide these customized, when a travel professional provides something that's bigger, that's better, that has a higher value proposition than a consumer is going to get anywhere else, that the loyalty factor just skyrockets, because the consumer's like, wow, I wouldn't book anywhere with anybody ever again because look what you did for me. And I didn't know, Tommy, that you can make a bottle of wine with the custom label. I might do that for my river cruise group.
There you go. I mean, everything's possible. I mean, I think, we talk about loyalty. I mean, our biggest thing is, travel agent, and I've seen a lot of travel agents starting back 20 years, started one group, and now they're just literally selling groups. I mean, they've become, sort of home-based, running a group program, and it's a lot of it is word of mouth, that they've built up a client base, and now they're creating their own tours to other destinations, not always with Travelman, but with other companies as well, that they've become really group experts because they've built on this and obviously enjoy it. I mean, the most important thing is you enjoy doing this. I think Sam mentioned she has 4 groups. I'm sure she didn't start out with 4 groups when she started doing this business. A lot of it has been her reputation is built up that she is a group expert, a travel agent that has really strong expertise in putting great programs together. Yep,
indeed. John just wrote in a thank you. A great way to do business. Less likely the client is unaware that they're getting paid for their time, which is critical. So you're right on the money, John. Tricia just typed in awesome questions, and she said she has that problem a lot. I'm not sure which one it is, if it's the pricing one or the dietary needs, but Tricia, I'm glad that was a good issue that we discussed. John says, is Travelbound competitive versus other vendors regarding group packaging business? That's what John has asked, the same John from before.
I mean, I would say yes. I would say, we're competitive in terms of the value and what we offer in terms of, we don't just offer, we're not just giving you the pricing, here's your itinerary, go. We also do offer on-the-road support 24/7. They speak English, so you have your group leader or whoever's with the group, they have a number to call anywhere around the world. If there's any kind of emergency comes up, whether it's a passenger sick or anything, we take full support on that. We do have a heavy liability as well as being part of the Cohen group, where we have full support, particularly when you're traveling international destinations and insurance is very uneasy. We do have a backup support as well in terms of trying to support you with your insurance with the passenger's insurance, travel insurance and things like that. So we're adding I like to think we're very competitive in terms of what value we offer.
Right. That's important to know. I'm glad you brought that up. Steve wants to know if your firm if you do tours in Hawaii.
Yes, Hawaii obviously is part of our USA product. We do tours. I mean, a lot of what we do in Hawaii is we've been doing a lot more family stays, reunions, things like that, and not very large. We've done some large groups, more of an incentive type of groups, but yes, we do. We cover all the islands.
Tell me, you mentioned incentive groups before. You mentioned religious travel. Based on your experience, what you see, the trend today, inspire us. What do you see the trends in group travel in terms of the niches? Do you see a large increase in family reunions, multi-generational? Do you see the religious travel? And if you could define that, because we say religious, but what does it really mean? Yes. What would you say are the trends in growth in groups?
Well, for this year, we're seeing a big trend. I mean, obviously, it's the year of the Jubilee, which is obviously for the Catholic pilgrimages, particularly to Italy, but there's also the Lourdes and Fatima as well are incorporated into that. So that's a big boom this year, particularly traveling September, October is when most of the religious groups travel. Airfares are lower, so that they are a lower budget group. One other trend we're seeing is obviously the river cruising is driving a huge trend in terms of pre and post cruising. And yes, they're going through Europe or on the Danube or the Rhine, but they can extend on to Prague and do Prague, Vienna, Budapest, more of a land operation, and adding on to that. So we're seeing quite a trend on that. Obviously coming into Amsterdam, it gives them some of the Benelux region. And something I want to point out, I mean, obviously this year there's a lot of, fear in terms of traveling around fear around terrorism in Europe, the migrations issues in Europe. Now we have the Zika virus in Latin America and Caribbean. But I think, there are certain destinations that are selling, we're seeing is very well. I mean, Paris obviously had a big issue, but I think Paris is selling very, very well. People are still traveling, which is great for Paris that the travel industry is supporting this and still encouraging people to travel. But we are seeing a big increase in terms of the UK, Scandinavia, and also even UK and Ireland actually combined. Scotland are selling very, very well, particularly for Europe, and the river cruising is doing very well as well. So there is a confidence there. In terms of, I mentioned earlier, family travel is still very much a growing factor. Small groups are smaller, and I think part of that is to do with that. We're seeing a trend. Obviously, there's a lot of escorted tours out there that you can, as a direct consumer, you can join. But a lot more people want to get together and do not just the bare bones, but do more. So they're going to travel agents to do, because they won't do this themselves. You can't do this through Expedia or anyone. They're going to a travel agent. Oh, I need to do a group, and I don't know where to start. I mean, I can go onto booking.com and try and do it, but they're missing that coordination. And when you're trying to move 10, 15, 20 people, that's not an easy thing to do on any consumer OTA or anything like that. This is where you need a travel agent to be able to put all the bells and whistles and deal with all the different flights that come in and all the different personalities, the different dietary requirements. It is really, that's where the value of a travel agent as well, to do this.
That's right. Indeed. And something I want to stress that you brought up a few times is that, folks, it's not the size of the group. It's not the size of the group that really matters. You can have that group of 10, of 12, of 15, and it can be very profitable. I think a lot of travel professionals, I find, Tommy, they're like, oh, we'll go look for groups, big groups, and it's always about the big group, the big idea, and it can be a big idea, but it doesn't have to be. Based on how many passengers in the group, the profit margin can be wonderful, and those people can have an amazing time. And if it's a family reunion, it could be an annual thing. But think about, again, the referral factor. When you do an awesome job, when that consumer says, wow, you wouldn't believe what my travel agent did. Not only did we have the main tour, the main cruise, but we did this, we visited here, and look at this wine bottle I got that's got our name on it. And if you do that for 15 people, you've made them happy. You've made you happy. You've made money, and you didn't have to be 50. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Yeah, Shu Chen wants to know, how does TravelBound work with a franchised agency to promote group business? And I'm not sure if there's a different answer, if it's a franchise or non-franchised agency, but I would imagine you work with an agency that's a part of a franchise group as well, and how do you, as an adjunct to that, do you help them promote?
I mean, we do a lot with franchise consortia agents, independent agents, and we give them. I mean, there's no difference. We don't differentiate in terms of level support. I mean, in terms of customization or pricing, there is no difference. We do probably, in terms of support with a franchise, I mean, I don't know what franchise group you're part of. I mean, we do a lot of additional webinars in terms of how to sell groups, how to sell, more combined with FIT and selling TravelBound as a whole brand. So we do a lot of those. We do attend a lot of the conferences as well, for either a consortia or a franchise group. But we do support. We are preferred with a lot of franchise, with a lot of franchise member consortia as well.
Okay, that's good to know. Shuchen, I hope that answered your question. By the way, I don't have it up here, and Tommy, I'll leave it up to you. I'm going to read this next question from Srini, then I've got one from Dixie coming up. If we end this, and our boot campers or our guests still have questions, just what's the best way? Should they contact you? Should it be Debbie? Because I want to make sure that we don't leave them hanging. That if they have a group, yep, and they say, "Oh my goodness, now I have a solution here," they can at least have a conversation with you or somebody on the team.
You can. We have our website is booktravelbound.com, and on that homepage there's a group section, and we have a lot of itineraries there that you can use and sell as is. Basically, we don't take deposits for groups, so which is you can go in and take one of the groups, request one of those groups to book as a group and sell it out as your personal group. Also, we have a general information which is basically has all our email addresses and our 800 number as well, that you can call the team here to contact us and email us with any questions, or just call us with generic questions as well on how we can support you as well. The website's booktravelbound.com and the groups is booktravelbound.net/groups. We have an email. There's also a link there if you just want to put a generic tour together where you can just completely customize your own tour, and we have a form that you can fill out and with all the questions that are sort of generic, and then we usually contact you then once we get this and talk to you more about what you actually want.
Good.
And make suggestions, avoid trade fairs, like you mentioned earlier, avoiding difficult dates, particularly with Europe, but we do sell a lot of Europe. I mean, there's some cities with huge amount of trade fairs. We try and work you around it. You're not going to pay 500 euros a night for that hotel, but if you move it 2 days earlier, we can bring it down 200 euros and still get the same value.
Yeah, and also, you had mentioned in our preliminary discussion, tourist traps. If somebody's not expert in Dubai or certain areas, your team, you guys will know what's a tourist trap, and that which might not be in the best interest of the traveler. They may not be too happy. Yeah. So that's kind of stuff that you help as well.
It's very important. I mean, and the other thing with tourist traps can happen at any time, even when the group is traveling. And we've had situations where, with strikes in particular cities in Europe or demonstrations, we're there immediately to jump ahead and say, okay, we have offices throughout, and we can jump in and route the group around if they have a sightseeing tour scheduled for that morning. We watch what's going on. We try and reschedule for another day. We can do that last minute as well. So that, they do happen. I mean, it's happens everywhere across the world, whether it's either a demonstration or a parade or whatever it is that comes up. So we do work. Tourist traps can happen pre-tour or even during the tour.
Right. Yep. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Sam, I know you want your mic back on. Give me a minute. I got 2 other questions and I want to open it up. Anybody else? Feeling lucky? I'm kidding. Anybody else want to put their mic on? Just go ahead and type into the question box. Yes, Stuart, put my mic on. That's the way I'll know, and I'll give you a heads up before I turn it on. I promise. So I encourage that. It's great to hear your voice. Sam, I'll get to you in just a moment. A question from Srini. Do you have concierges in certain international destinations, similar to Cohen? Or travel representatives who can attend to traveler issues at that specific destination?
Yes, we do. I mean, we have obviously our local offices. The tour leader will have a number if they want to do add-on or change an itinerary or additional requests during the tour. We do give availability to contact to our number 24/7, and it's not just an emergency number. But we do have offices there that can handle any changes or requests, during the tour as well. So yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Trini, I hope that helps. Dixie wants to know, she's a member of Boot Camp, rail tickets. Do you sell rail tickets for Europe? Is that available as well?
We do sell rail for groups, yes. We don't sell rail on the FIT side, but we do for groups. We do quite a lot of different things that are very customized for groups as well, whether it's rail or different types of rail as well. We do the Eurostar, first, second class, all different classes of service. We also do offer some of the Greek river cruises. There's one new cruise that we're offering now between Barcelona and Rome, which a lot of it goes across the Mediterranean. It's actually an overnight cruise. We do offer that as well, so it gets you to do Spain and Italy combined, and you don't have to drive around through France to get there, or pay an enormous amount for flights to connect and deal with airports and security and all that. So there's quite a lot of options we do on the group side.
About turn Sam's mic on, but I want to ask you a question, Sam. Not yet, because this question has popped into my head. I wanted to ask you is, based on your experience, and perhaps you can share an anecdote of a travel professional who had success. What do you see your most successful travel partners who do business with you? What do you see as a one thing or 2 things that they do consistently to make them very successful that most other travel professionals just aren't doing consistently? what is it that they do, and what is that success? How do you see that success impacting their business?
Is this question for me? Is it?
That's for you.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I'm not a travel agent. I mean, we do a lot of, I talk to travel agents quite a lot because I think the travel agents are really the experts in what's the trends are, and we can read all sorts of trends, and we are very heavily dependent on travel agents, to find out what's selling, what's the change in the market, and that's really, I think the big advantage for us to partner with travel agents, particularly in the travel industry, is, and also we, because we deal with the whole United States and also Canada, is to find out what the trends in certain regions are. I mean, what happens in the West Coast is different to the East Coast. What happens in the Midwest is very different to the South. There's different trends all the time and different needs all the time. So that's really sort of, I think as a travel agent is, constantly share that information. Information is critical, not just because we're a tour operator sitting here in New York City and, we're not but you're the front line as well to what the consumer wants, that has better visibility to what's even online, what they're looking at, the consumer's looking online. I mean, they may be shopping online, but they are coming to you probably and utilizing, I think you're the expert in terms of travel that, they won't find online, TripAdvisor or anything. I mean, it's just the personal information that they can get from a travel agent is critical.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying is in terms of what you see as a trend, the most successful things that you see your most successful travel agents doing is that they become the experts. They become the experts, and hands down, that consumer realizes they wouldn't dare shop anyplace else because the agent is positioned as the expert. And the beautiful part is, and this is to all our travel professionals listening, whether you're boot camp or not, you may not today be an expert on FIT and putting add-ons together. You never have to tell that consumer that you're not really the expert. All the consumer has to know is that you have confidence that you're going to deliver an amazing product. And then all of a sudden you make a phone call to your friends at your suppliers, your partners, like a Travel Bound, who they're going to do the legwork. Let them do the legwork. Let them help you with the promotions. And I don't think you want Travel Bound involved on that. You don't want the consumer thinking that there's so many different companies involved here and you don't know what you're talking about. Because you've got these guys in your back pocket and you've got to remain face to your client. So they look at you and say, wow, the knowledge you have. But apparently you have a lot of connections to make this happen. They're very impressed. I just want to make sure that I Sam, there we go. Sam, I'm ready. I want to unmute your microphone. Sam's got either question. Sam, what do you got?
Well, I was just going to speak to a couple of things because I think travel agents, when they're starting out to do a group, and I have one that I'm looking at for next year that's going to be built around a river cruise. I think we need to do our due diligence before we even contact a group department. People have different approaches. For me, when I deal with Travel Bound, I first go to their FIT site and I do extensive research on the hotels in each destination this group is going to be going to. And I come up with like my top 3 hotels in each destination. And I kind of block out an itinerary and I put in things I think people might enjoy. And then when I call and talk to Travel Bound, they usually either have me email or fax what I've put together. And my representative at Travel Bound, we work very closely together, and it doesn't take just 1 or 2 phone calls. I'm talking weeks and months of on the phone back and forth with Travel Bound as we fine-tune this itinerary and work together. And even after I take bookings, there might be some additions. There might be some little changes or special requests from clients. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not just a one and done type of thing with when you contact a groups department. And my groups are very customized, and I rely heavily on your groups department, Tommy, to give me advice, to steer me in the right direction. Even though I've been to a lot of places, I'm by far not an expert when it comes to the logistics or the hotels, or as you said, what's going on. So you really have to build up a rapport with who you're working with as you go along.
And thank you, Sam. And it's very, very true. I mean, and we try and we claim we're experts. We're not experts everywhere, and I think we learn also. You do a lot of research. You can probably even tell us some information of particular hotels as well that we may not be familiar with, and I think that's part of the communication, is really partnering with the tour operator and working to make it the best itinerary and to make it workable and make it sellable as well. And it's great. And one thing you mentioned is, yes, before you go to a tour operator, really it is important to do research. I mean, this is a big revenue, it's a big profit, so yes, there is a lot of work involved, but the return on the investment is very good. There are websites. We have our own group's website now, which has itineraries there that you can utilize, which is a tool now for agents to sort of get, to give you the information as well in terms of a group tour itinerary, to give you some ideas of what you can put together. You can sell it as your group as well, exclusively to your group. And and there are a lot of, you can Google, you can get a lot of information even from the escorted tour programs to what they're doing in terms of what do they visit on their sightseeing tours, what are the key attractions I should be looking at. We don't know all the main attractions in every city. I mean, obviously you say Paris, we know the Eiffel Tower. London, we got to do the London Eye and Buckingham Palace, but there are certain cities we're not familiar with. What's the main thing to see? So that's really what's important to look at. Well, what is other tour operators offering in that particular city that is a must-do, and then what's the other wow factor? Well, what's not listed that where we can communicate and we can share our expertise. And I've been to, and we have a lot of our staff have traveled all over the world. They probably can share what their experience was and what they didn't even think of visiting, but they walked into it and said, wow, this is something you can really sell as a wow factor to your group, and I know your group will like this, obviously depending on the profile of the group as well.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Tommy. Sam, I'm going to put your mic on mute right now. Thank you very much for sharing that very much. So let me tell you why. I just looked at the clock. We are out of time, and I always like to respect everybody's time, including Tommy's. Tommy, I'm so grateful that you're here. I really am.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to extend this, Tommy, if you don't mind, I'm going to extend this offer to everybody who's on right now. If you've got a question, if you've got an opportunity, if you've got a challenge, send me an email. If you didn't get the website information, send it to me, email it to me, and I'll send it over to Tommy and the team, and we'll get your questions. And whether you're going to do business with them or not, the whole purpose here, honestly, is to show you that there's a solution, an amazing solution, an amazing tool out there for you. Tommy, any parting words for the agents before we shut down the show?
No, I appreciate everyone joining this morning, and it's been very exciting for me. I mean, I love talking groups. So, thank you, Stuart, for inviting me to give me this hour to talk about something I'm passionate about. And I just want more agents. I mean, I said to Stuart when he invited me, we got to get more agents doing groups. I mean, it's a huge market here. Yeah. There's huge opportunities. And I'm not saying just with Travelban. There's groups everywhere. You can put groups together, whether even if it's a group from your own local town to travel to, the next state. I mean, that is a group. There's a lot of opportunities, and we just, we need to, as a travel industry, there's a lot of competition on the FIT side with the OTAs. There's not much out there in groups. I mean, a few people are trying, but groups is an expertise type of travel profession, and I'm delighted to see the number of agents that have joined this. When it says groups, you always wonder how many agents are going to run, and it's not easy, but we're here. A lot of tour operators are here to support and want to grow this segment. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tommy, thanks so much for being here. Head of Groups with Travelbound, Tommy Ryder. It's been a real pleasure, and maybe we'll have you back in the future because there's so many things we can talk about. And sure. Travel professionals, we bid you adieu, and I will tell you, I am so grateful that whether you're here as my guest or you're here as part of boot camp, I am so grateful that you gave us this time. Happy sales, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.